This is Becton99, your Lord and sometimes personal 2K savior. So we're all gearing up for, 2K27 next week or whenever you get the game. I've said this before. They say that the game comes out on September 4th, but the game really comes out, on the early access. 2K, the game costs $100 to buy, or you can buy the 151 with a discount, whatever, but that's the real price. The sort of the $70 price, or however much it is now, that's the price point. That's the I guess I'll frame it like this. The street date, September 4th, is the price that they'll accept from you to play the game later, or with a delay. So you just, if you can do it, if you want to do it, you can say, nah, I'm not going to participate in that bullshit. I'm not paying $100 for a video game. All right. You sit on the bench. You let FOMO hit you. People will start, by the time you start playing, you'll be an 85 the first day. Everybody else will be 90, whatever this is. You're going to catch some L's, whatever. You're going to be behind on your specialization. All these things that, that kind of, that matter up front, but don't matter over time. But what I'm saying is they've effectively changed the price of the game to $100 without changing the price. And then what this means is that when they do change the price to more money, eventually, like when the game is $100, in the store, air quote, the incentive to play early will take the game to 150, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And VC will go up, and your PlayStation or Xbox subscription will continue to go up. Your internet bill at home will go up. The hardware will go up. It's just going to get more and more expensive to do these things that we used to do for relatively cheap, back in the day with the Sega. And obviously they cost money comparative to that time. But now playing video games is going to be a very, very niche sort of thing. In terms of, if you have young children, it's going to cost you as an adult more money to keep them, sort of on the cutting edge of whatever is happening. And then as an adult, you're going to have to spend more money to play this thing that you're kind of sort of addicted to. Now, the real part of this message that I wanted to put out here was, I was thinking about the crews. I was thinking about how the Pro-Am has been merged into the crew dynamic that they have. So I have a fundamental problem with the crew system. I miss Rise and Elite, and I figured out how to fix this sort of broken system that I am perceiving. I am a solo 2K player, so that means that this year when they started crews, I had to join a random crew, right? And I had to, if I wanted my crew badge perk, if I wanted the 4 extra cap breakers to round out my build or help, build my builds, I needed to find a crew and join them and I'm doing air quotes, and be at their mercy. They could change the logo, they could change the name, whatever. I just had no say in that. I'm just a part of some random crew, and whatever that shit says, to a certain extent, a certain logical extent, I'm saying I agree with being called the Booty Snatchers. And I'm not saying that was my crew name, but that's how dumb some of these crew names are. Baby Mama Dramas, or whatever the hell, all this stupid shit that I don't want over my name. taking away the pro-am, I don't have anyone to play with, so I would always make my own pro-am team, air quote, just to get access to the gym so I could practice my shots on the latency that's in the program. That way, when I go to the other game modes that I have access to, I know that my jump shot works. Because if you just play My Career or Street Kings or even the My Court, there's a way to turn in 2026 or in NBA 2K26, there was a way to turn on latency. But I still, for my taste, I still don't believe it's the exact, even if you switch it to ranked, I don't think the latency changes enough. I knew that when I went to the Pro-Am, and if I shot the shot 20 times, 10 times, and I'm bricking, that's just not going to work online. I got to retool that jump shot. Now I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have that little sort of buffer zone. I'm going to have to rely on the My Court latency to tell me about the latency, and then I might just make a jump shot, think it's money, take my happy ass to the online modes that have real latency, and I shoot my jump shot, and that shit just bricks. So, and to me, is that the end of the world? No, but it's fucking stupid, and it's redundant, and I'm gonna miss my gym. How do we fix this thing? How do we make crews better for solo 2K players that don't want to fucking deal with, these crew people? Like, why am I working in service for other people who can only, there's 5 of them who are vice presidents, whatever, and they get the benefits of everyone else just not having friends, pretty much, online. So what I'm saying is bring back Rise and Elite. Let them people have their crews, a deal crew thing. Let me be Elite or Rise. And so then when there's 2 Elite or Rise people in the random rank, let me and that person get crew experience. And so your crews can do whatever the fuck they want to do. They can change their pictures, whatever. Let me just have a normal ass name and let me get crew rep. And so on the display cards, when you're moving around, it'll just say Elite, but you could give me a designation. So, when I go into the menu, it'll say Elite, hashtag 200,000, whatever the number has to be. And I'll be in my own little 50 group subset. And everyone else, then we'll just fill up the 50s like that. And the people that want to be Rise can be Rise. And the crews can still be crews. And then the crews can go into sort of Pro-Am or cruise mode, and they can play there. And then random Elite players, we should be able to go into the Pro-Am as well. And it'll be sort of if there's 5 Elite dudes trying to play Pro-Am at that moment, then we'll play. How do you do the record? Well, okay. If the record thing, throws it off, then fuck it. Whatever my designation is, the 50 people that are in my designation, we'll be able to communicate and say, hey, does anyone want to play, rec or whatever, and then we can get 5 out of there and go from there, like that. But to me, that would fix this whole shit, because it's like, I'm never going to get to play in the fucking crew Pro-Am because I want to be antisocial. I don't want to be on my fucking PlayStation going, hey, chocolate chip 79, dog, kick me the ball. Can I play with y'all? Like, no. I don't do that shit. I don't want to talk to none of them. But that's neither here nor there. So that's my first thing. I just fixed crews. Crews are dumb. I just fixed it. Bring back Rise and Elite. Obviously, they're not gonna do it this year, but in 2K28, bring that shit back. Cause I don't wanna deal with being just in these weird people's crews. The casual corner should have a 5v5, 3v3, 2v2, 1v1, and let everybody that wants to play on casual sliders go there. Then turn the rec to the hardest sliders, because I want to play in a random space on the hardest difficulty. I want to know that when I make my shot, I really made it. I want to know that when the other person scores, they're really like that too. You could say, why don't you just go to the proving ground? The proving ground, I would love to. But the proving grounds allows peoples and squads to play mixed squads or random squads. That's not fair. Being confined, being a solo player, I either have to go to the proving grounds and want to play seriously, and then I'm playing against a squad who's designed their teams to work together. They talk together. They pass the ball on time, on target, and it's us on this ragtag team trying to figure shit out, and nobody wants to trust anybody. And if the PG is asked or the center's asked, then we lost the game. And guess what happens at the end of the game? It says, you lost. And it's like, bitch, I didn't lose. I clamped. I shot the ball. I did all right. This team that you fucking put me on lost. But outside of that, when you play in the rec and they talking about we want it to be casual, fuck that shit. I don't want it to be casual. I wanna know that every time I put the ball in a hoop, I'm doing it on the hardest sliders. And I can't get that experience in the proving ground. I can't get that shit in the crews because these motherfuckers are not my crew. I don't know these people. And we gonna play people that do know each other. So the casual corner, for whoever wants to be casual, they should go there, and rec could be a space for legitimate hoopers that want to play, but we don't have a squad. Or make a random door for the proving grounds. At a certain point, they say you're splitting the community. I'm like, bro, the community is already split. If you don't want to split the community, then just put the random rec on the real sliders and let's hoop. Let's stop bitching. Let's stop complaining. Let's fucking hoop. You guys are diluting the experience. And the game itself is fake. It's arbitrary. It's going to be glitches and hitches and shit like that. But I don't want to play on easy. I want to know, like I said, I want to know when we hooping, when we fake hooping, let's fake hoop. So, there's one more part of this. I think it's lazy that if you build a female character, which I would never do, there's no My Career story for them this year. And I think there should be, because if you can't, now I'm not talking about the eras, but just have whatever the story is called, I guess it's called Fire and Concrete or whatever. They could totally have that same story, but like for the females, make up a female G League. You go there, you meet a person there on your team, and it's a girl, obviously, and then you just do your shit like that, because my thought is, if they can't play My Career with their creation, then they're going to have to be stuck at the Street Kings trying to get their 1,000 shots off for the specializations or whatever. And I'm like, they need to be able to play My Career to, you could set 10-minute quarters or however many quarters you want to get your shots up or whatever you're trying to do up. So I think that, if you wanted to make a female character, it's like, the next year they'll probably say, now you guys can do My Career. And it's like, so you're just gatekeeping again to act like you're making innovations when this one is so easy to do. Is just record the storyline that you just recorded, have 2 different rooms, and record it with a girl, or even use the same room and just record it with 2 women. So I've gone on long enough. Back to now.